If this man should fall, who will lift the flag and carry on?
I will.
Anytime you hear that intro, you know something deep happened. Yeah, that's my intro when there's been a death in the family, and I hate to start off on a low note here, but if you haven't already heard the news, Red Pill Mike passed away a couple days ago, like yesterday or the day before. And Donovan, if you don't know who Red Pill Mike is, you probably should know who Red Pill Mike is. He has been one of the most consistent commenters on my channel for sure. Fresh and Fit, a lot of other people too. Donovan knows him personally. I know him. Okay. I know him as a consistent. I think he's hit me up a few times on Instagram. I think we've had some kind of correspondence, but anyways, Red Pill Mike, we're pouring one out for you. This is your show. Like I said, I hate to bring it down a little bit, but that it is what it is. And every once in a while, one of our guys, falls, right? So, Red Pill Mike was actually a very consistent commenter. He consistently gave really large super chats too, particularly to I think I became aware of him on Myron and Fresh's show, and then he started making the rounds on other shows too. And he was 62, and he died from the coronavirus. At least that's what the story is right now. And I know that Donovan is working with his brother for the memorial services. So anyways, when you hear that intro, that means something serious happened. So now that I brought us down a little bit, I'll bring us back up again. I have with me a very special guest. I have Jay Waller with me. If you don't know who Jay is, I did a quick show with him on Sterling Cooper's channel about what was it, 2 weeks ago, I think. And we had a really good back and forth, and I'm like, man, I got to get this guy on the show. And so now, without further ado, I have Jay. There he is. How's it going, man? This fine southern gentleman.
Yes.
So if you catch the accent, where are you originally from, Jay?
I was born in Monroe, Louisiana.
Oh, hang on. Let me kill the echo cancellation. My bad. Sorry. There you go. Try it again. You're born where?
Monroe, Louisiana, but I grew up in South Louisiana.
South Louisiana. Mm-hmm.
Small town called Denham Springs, right side of Baton Rouge.
Oh, wow. Cool. And you are now roommates with one Sterling Cooper.
I am.
Do you want to tell us how did that happen? And granted, let's just clarify things here, because I know people go, you're both very, very heterosexual. Let's just leave it at that right there. Okay, we know what Sterling does, yeah. But so how did you meet up with Sterling Cooper?
I was going to an event that the States were putting on. Andrew was putting on an event in Las Vegas,
mm-hmm.
and we were at the Cosmopolitan. And I'm standing at the door.
Mm-hmm.
Some guy walks up with an Australian accent. A couple drinks in, we're talking, see eye to eye on a lot of things. And then next thing you know, we're here in Miami and, talking about things, that we'll probably cover today. But, we see eye to eye on a lot of things. We have a lot of same goals. We believe that being around.
Hey Jay, your mic is cutting out. Can you put the lav mic up closer to you?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I think it's getting muffled underneath that.
See if I can get it here.
Yeah, much better.
How's that?
Attaboy. There we go. Good,
awesome.
Good. Okay, sorry. Repeat that. What were you saying again?
Yeah. So basically, what happened is I was in Las Vegas, going to an event Andrew Tate was putting on.
Mm-hmm.
Sterling and I hit it off. We met again in Miami.
Mm-hmm.
We were talking about being around masculine,
Mhm.
how much more productive you are, and hey, get your ass up, we're going to lift and go to different things.
Mhm.
Hey, I'll see you in Miami. So he left LA, I left the other LA,
Mhm.
and here we are. So Miami's great. I push him, he pushes me. We're
Mhm.
grateful for it, and yeah, man, it couldn't be better. He's a great person to be around,
Mhm.
and we have something good going because we really, really push one another every
Mhm.
day. So
Cool.
yeah.
Cool. Can you get Tom to fix the audio at all? Because it's like you're kind of chopping in and out right now.
Yeah, he's bringing me a mic right now.
There we go. Okay, much better. All right. Well, in the meantime, so you are. Would you say that you're like new to all this? Are you new to like the manosphere? The reason why I wanted to do an interview with you. Actually, I met you. I can give you guys a little bit of backstory here. I met Jay back in June when I was out in Miami, doing the what was it, George Gammon's event, when I was out there doing the Rebel Capitalist thing, and then I was also doing some shows with Fresh and Fit on that trip as well. And I think that's when I first met you, was at like Moxie's or something like that. We just kind of started shooting the breeze and just talking about stuff. And I was like, wow, this guy gets it. So, and then I found out that you were going to be, I don't think you'd moved in with Sterling at that point as a roommate, because Sterling was still new to Miami at that point as well. And I thought it was really interesting. You have I think we all should. You don't have to give, if you're not cool with like giving your business name and everything. Like, can you just like give a little bit of what your background is? Because I think a lot of people will probably look at you and they'll go, "Oh boy, another PUA. Oh boy, another guy who's going to teach me how to be good with the girls." Again, one of the reasons why I think Jay has some credibility here is because he's been a baller before he even got into any of this kind of stuff, or even starting a YouTube channel. Yeah, by the way, his YouTube channel is linked in my description below, so you guys can check that out. It's very new, and so you guys, if you want to see what Jay's all about, you can. But I wanted to just sort of pick your brain about a few things. I'm going to go through one of your videos actually here. We're going to do a breakdown video with Jay Waller of Jay Waller. So we'll just give you guys a little bit better. Yeah, I see. That's another thing. Yeah. Dave's saying this like, oh, it's another Troy Francis. Well, I don't think so. And I not to take anything away from Troy or James Tusk or anything like that, but I think you guys will be pleasantly surprised by Jay. So let my audience know like what you're about. What's your background, anyways?
How's the sound, by the way?
Much better. That's better.
Awesome. So yeah, I own a company. We erect steel. I got started at 24. We made 10 years in March, and so.
Did I lose you? All right. Well, Jay's coming back. Give me 1 sec. We lost you, Jay. I'll put him back up here in just a second. Let me get this over here. I think what he's going to tell you is like Jay's got his own business. He's been in the business for a while now. I'll wait till he comes back. I think they're having some technical difficulties. I know where he's at right now too. So yeah, Boomer Tech, right? No, yeah, roll a solo now. No, I will actually. I'm going to show you this video here real quick because I think a lot of people are going to. Is my mic low or is his mic low, Davina? Is it me? I don't think my mic's low. I think my mic should be regular, isn't it? How about now? Am I good? That should be good. There we go. All right, there we go. We're not meant to know him. Okay, there we go. Now I brought him back. How you doing? Yeah, much better.
Okay, cool. Can we exit out of that? Perfect. Okay. What was the question?
Yeah. Question was, give us a little bit of background about yourself, because I think a lot of people think that you're just jumping into this as sort of another, like he's another red pill hustler or whatever. Like, I think maybe giving these guys a little bit of background would be a good idea.
Absolutely. So I came from a very poor background where I saw firsthand the reason you might be interested in being red pill. So I was the son of a cotton farmer. My parents met at a McDonald's. My father was managing a McDonald's in Vicksburg, Mississippi. He met my 18-year-old mother, got her pregnant. She had me at 19. So I had a teen mother, poor upbringing. And so I went through school and I was basically told that the only way to make doctor money was in cowboy boots or boots in general.
Uh-huh.
And so that was construction in South Louisiana. That's where I'm from. And I was literally, when the stepdad came around, I was literally a redheaded stepchild putting up metal buildings.
Mm-hmm.
And so I left my hometown I played football. That was basically the only way out there. I mean, there were 6 kids. I was the oldest. Nobody was going to get school paid for. So I made a decision my sophomore year to play football, quit playing baseball and basketball, only play football. So I went and I played on a football scholarship.
Mm-hmm.
I studied construction management because that's what I knew to do. I bought the dream that, hey, if you go to construction management school, you're going to have 100% job placement and you're going to be in Dallas somewhere making 75 to 100 grand a year with a truck allowance and a 401k. But I graduated in 2009. So I dug ditches for a company called Austin Bridge and Road. When I finally got back to Baton Rouge, I put up metal buildings and I waited tables. I eventually got a job, saved for my contractor's license. And that was 10 years ago in March, going on 11 years next March. Mm-hmm. So a decade in the business. I have 90 employees today in about 12 states, putting up Costco's, airplane hangars, schools, coast to coast, from Southern California to Connecticut. So there's trucks with the logos and the whole thing, big payrolls, office staff. I have 6 office staff, salaries, insurance plans, the whole thing. So it's a legitimate brick and mortar business. I've always wanted to get into self-help, but I wanted to build a business first. So I didn't feel, one thing I hate is hypocrisy. And I felt that if I would have started a YouTube channel anytime short of the last couple of years, that it would have been disingenuous of me. Mm-hmm. And now I'm in the place where I feel like I've gone down a certain journey. Mm-hmm. I've taken my black eyes. I've made my mistakes, and I'll continue to make mistakes. But I'm finally at a place where I feel very comfortable giving back and wanting to teach some of the things I learned along the way to help guys not make some of the mistakes I did. So it doesn't take them 10 years to get to the position that I'm in. Maybe they can dodge some of those landmines. So no, I'm not even really it's not that I don't believe in game. It's just I believe in who you become makes game substantially easier. So for anybody that is going to judge me off of my appearance, not a problem, but it's just not where I'm coming from at all.
Jay, how tall are you?
I'm 6'3" barefoot.
So when you see me standing next to Jay, don't say I'm a manlet, okay? The guy is 6'3".
Yeah, hey, football paid the bills, man. But
you're ginger.
And I'm ginger.
Yep.
I'm ginger.
Naturally so.
So do you remember America Online was popular?
Yes.
Okay, so when I was a kid, I would, how the girls, they would type you and they'd be like, age, location, eye color and hair color. And after about 10 girls that said they had to go immediately when I said I had red hair, I started going to Auburn and like brownish Auburn. And then my mom caught me. I got pissed. I quit. So, hey, that's fine because we had to get off the school bus and get our girls. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah, we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about the analog way of game for a little while there. So, Chad, I'm gonna throw this up here real quick for you. You're like how to deal with it. In fact, maybe Jay wants to answer this. How do I deal with an ex that cheated while in a social situation with mutual friends? Want to make it clear when she tries to talk to me that I'm not interested in telling her about my life or being friends, which she asked before. Then my best advice to you: don't talk about it. Why is she still even an element in your life, Chad? That would be my first advice. So let's see. Anybody else? I'll catch up on supers here. If you guys want to ask Jay any questions, please, be my guest. Did I mute you? I think I'll unmute you. Oh, you're muted right now, Jay. Why don't you unmute yourself right quick? Jay, unmute yourself. Oh, there we go. Is Tom trying to figure this out? You good? Switching out. All right. 5'8" come at you. Are you good? Well, anyways, so I think one of the things we were going to talk about also is sort of like the analog way of how it used to be when game was sort of in its infancy. I think that a lot of oh, you can't hear me? Can you hear me? Put on headphones next time. No, he's not. He's on. He's live right now, and we're having some technical difficulties on this side. Hold up. Hey, I'll bring him out real quick. He'll come back. Let me know when you guys are good to go. I wanted to bring Jay on because he has like I said before, he's been working his way, I think, into I don't even really call it the manosphere anymore because it's not really the manosphere any longer. In fact, I'm a little loath to call the manosphere right now, but it is what it is. And I know that he has been like Jay has been hanging out with the Tate brothers. Take that however you want to, but I know he's tight with them. I know he's tight with Sterling right now. And if you hadn't caught the video of myself and Sterling back on, I think it was Sunday, about 2 weeks ago, Sunday, did about a 2-hour video on Sterling Cooper's channel. And we got into some really good stuff. And I'm going to tell you guys right now that, a lot of the stuff that I like, Jay is old school, and I think he approaches this stuff like the game, whatever you want to call it, PUA, whatever, old school. And I think a lot of people are going to be critical of that because we live in the age of Instagram right now. We live in the age of instant perception, and while I think it's important to be able to roll with that, I do also think that a lot of the old school principles are still sound. It's just the context that they are sort of delivered in, I guess, for lack of a better term, have definitely changed. What you got in here? What'd you say? Bump into each other because of this is Chad again. Bumped into each other because of social events with a mutual friend. Trust me, I don't want to see her again, but I also want to go to the barbecue. Well, then don't let it get to you. What are you supposed to do? What do you want to do? Like who's in whose frame are you operating in, Chad? What frame are you going to be? Are you going to allow this to? It's essentially how do you want to react to this? All right. So what you're probably going to want me to ask you, what you probably want me to say is, well, tell her what's what. Okay. Well, if she's not getting that at this point, then why is it so important to you? Why is it so important to be at the barbecue in the first place? Yeah, exactly. Ignore her and eat some damn chicken. There you go. Or here's the other thing. Do you want to make her jealous? Right? Do you want to bring a girl to the barbecue to make her jealous? Okay. What's the point? I think you probably already understand what the solution is. Do we got Jay back yet? Jay, are you ready to go? I'm looking at you in the background here. I don't think you're ready to go yet. Hold on. Your mic is still muted, man. Let's see if I can get this. All right. Well, in the meantime, you know what I want to also now that while I'm waiting on Jay here, when I was on, by the way, if you have not already checked out the very first link that's in the description down there, Aaron Clary has his, I meant to say this on the last damn episode and I didn't. He has his minimalism course going again. If that is something that interests you, this is the second time I think he's putting it up now. So if you want to take Aaron Clary's minimalist course, there you go. I meant to give him a plug on the last show. Then that reminds me, on the last show, a lot of people were giving me grief about my interpretation of Dr. Warren Farrell and the conversation between Dr. Warren Farrell and and who was Jordan Peterson, of course. And in that conversation, it was what was it? Dr. Warren Farrell was making the case that, you know, what it was this, you know, hypothetical, right? This illustration of like the quarterback on. Oh, you good? You're good. Hold on. And talking about how, you know, when the quarterback when the guy who's the football team player leaves the football field and he doesn't expect the girl to, you know, say, oh, I loved how you communicated with all those people in the huddle and blah, blah, blah. What that was from, I think people kind of misinterpreted that. What that was from was actually a book that I've read for really since I think 1993. It was a book by Dr. Warren Farrell called Why Men Are the Way They Are. That was almost verbatim from that book. So when people say, oh, that's not what he was really talking about. No, that was actually what he was talking about. And the reason why I can't expect you guys to have that frame of reference because you probably have never read the book. So yes, that was what he was talking about because that was directly drawn from Why Men Are the Way They Are. And I'm going to get into that a little bit later on this week as well. People have asked me to do a breakdown video of Jordan Peterson and Dr. Warren Farrell. And there's a lot, it's like a 2-hour long video. And I'm not going to, I have to go in and dig up all this going through. Are you good, man? I think you're good now. Let me pull you in. Are you good? I think you're good. Can you hear me?
I can't hear him.
No, he can't hear me.
I think we're going to have to change laptops.
All right, I'm going to pull. Okay, looks like we're having some more trouble. So, anyways, let me also explain a few things with respect to that conversation with Jordan Peterson, Dr. Warren Farrell. I am very familiar with Dr. Warren Farrell. In fact, when people ask me to say, well, you know, Rollo, when was your red pill moment? Okay, I would say one of them. Like, I don't think there's any one particular sort of red pill moment that I had, but I think there was a series of them that kind of led me to, you know, writing about what I do and having the interests that I do in all of this. One of those was reading Why Men Are the Way They Are by Dr. Warren Farrell. And now that book was published in the mid to late 80s. And you got to remember that Dr. Warren Farrell used to be one of the only male members of NOW, National Organization of Women. He used to be very much a feminist activist back in in his youth, let's just say. I think it was the late 70s, the mid to late 70s. And he's very open about it. He talks about this all the time. When I refer to guys like Dr. Warren Farrell, or I talk about Jordan Peterson, these are guys that kind of frustrate the hell out of me. I would also argue the same thing with, I think they're switching laptops. So I'm just gonna boot. I'm going to boot Jay from the, I'm going to boot Jay. He's going to come back. Anyways. So a lot of guys like that kind of frustrate me. Dr. Steven Pinker, for example, frustrates me for a lot of different reasons. I think he's brilliant. I think he has a lot of good empirical data. I think he's done a lot of research that is relevant to certainly, you know, red pill praxeology. Same thing I could say with Dr. Warren Farrell. I could say the same thing even about Jeffrey Miller, who people keep thinking, oh, Rollo has a problem with Jeff Miller. I don't have a problem with Jeff Miller. I just have a problem with his interpretation of the red pill. And I kind of have a problem with his interpretation of poly, like polyamory and poly relationships. Of course, I can't be critical of that without sort of being personally critical of him, because that's this situation he has with Dr. Diana Fleischman. So how do I be critical and not step on people's toes? So, but I know Ryan has contact with Jeff, and I think Jeff's actually a brilliant guy. I think he's done a lot of work as well that could be relatable to the red pill. He just doesn't like, he has one of these attitudes of kind of like these guys who are like sort of academics, and then they see like somebody like me, or God forbid, John from Modern Life Dating jumps in and starts, you get a guy, you get a guy like myself, you get a guy like John, you get a guy who are, guys who are previously, PUAs or whatever, who are running what really amounts to a coaching service or some kind of like counseling kind of thing. And, they don't have a degree in clinical psychology, but yet they're making money hand over fist in the new hustle economy. And yeah, I can understand why that's frustrating to guys like, Dr. Sean Smith or Dr. Jordan Peterson for that matter. Because they pay the dues, man. They put the work in. Jay the Nihilist, what do you got here for me? I live in a fairly rural area. Old school game is still applicable where I live, as most girls don't use Instagram or dating apps. I'm afraid of a world where all women use dating apps. I'm glad you brought that up, Jay, because this is something I'm hoping I can get Jay back on here in just a second. Because I think he would be able to have a good take on this, let's just say. So one of the things that I get criticized for is saying, well, you're old school. Okay, boom. First of all, I'm not a boomer. Okay. I'm Gen X. Thank you very much. But the other thing is I think a lot of people think that, because I still even use the term or use the word game, or I still, and I use it in the sense that I think it ought to be used now. And then whenever I refer to game, there's a difference between game and PUA. And I think that a lot of people don't really make that connection right now. I've even had guys like Myron and Fresh tell me, hey, look, a lot of that stuff from, the mid 2000s when Neil Strauss and Mystery and Formal Game and, all fast seduction and all that good stuff was going on, that doesn't apply today. I'm like, yeah, of course it doesn't, because we have a new technology now. We have Instagram. It's the age of perception. We are the age of ego. And yeah, you're right. But the fundamentals, the mechanics, the human machine hasn't changed. The evolutionary aspects of the basics for, intersexual dynamics and sexual strategies, that kind of stuff, that hasn't changed. Only our methodology on how we affect that has changed. And I brought that up in a zillion different ways. But I think another thing, Jay, that a lot of people get hung up on is that what they think of as game is only applicable in certain arenas. And that's what I've called domain dependence. So it only works in the clubs. Oh, no. There's this thing called day game. Okay, well, that only works in, on streets. What's a yad stop? Like, you don't even know what that is, right? Like day game. Does that work? Well, it does for some guys. If some guys are very comfortable, like there's aspects of running game. Is it direct game? Is it indirect game? There's all kinds of things, all kinds of different contexts into which you can sort of put game. I just recently heard some people saying this, and this is straight out of my I think it was my second book, Preventive Medicine. Everyone has game. How effective that game is really the question here. So if your game is premised on a blue pill understanding of intersexual dynamics, then yeah, you probably have bad game. You probably have bad information, or your ideas for best practices when it comes to sexual strategy or reproductive strategy or however you want to term it, right? Game, getting with girls, or what, like being an attractive, high value guy, right? That changes per what you believe. And this was actually, I'm probably going to do a full video on this either tomorrow or Friday. And I'm going to talk about memes and how important memes are. And I don't mean the memes, the cute little memes that like Ryan although they're not cute, that Ryan throws out there. They're not the pictures you see on Twitter. That's not the meme I'm talking about. What I'm using meme in the formal sense, in the terms that I believe it's was it Dawkins or was it Matt Ridley? I can't remember. But the idea of the meme, which is it's an idea, it's a best practice, it's a belief. It's a belief set. And some memes can be, let's just say, damaging to the host, right? Dr. Godside has talked about these too. By the way, if you have not read The Ape Who Understood the Universe by Steve Stewart Williams, you owe it to yourself to go read that book. And it's humorous and it's fun and it's entertaining. Even if you just want to listen to it on Audible, it's an entertaining way to understand evolutionary psychology, yes, but also how memes evolve and how memes and social, like I've always said this is like, the social constructionism is going to be the downfall of this generation. We base too much on the blank slate, and we base too much on social constructionism. Well, this book actually will explain a lot of that to you. Social constructionism is itself a meme. The blank slate is itself a meme, and they are failed memes now because we have better information that contradict and conflict. Let's just say they confound. They confound the meme and the belief set, and a lot of what we consider game is firmly rooted, I think, in what your meme, what your belief sets are, what your memes are, what you picked up along the way. We've always said that, we raise our boys as if they're defective girls. Well, I'm hoping Jay will come back here because I wanted to talk to him about that, because I wanted to find out like how I'm always interested now. I think maybe more so now than before, but I'm always interested in how people came to their natural game, like to the way that they think that is the best practice for getting the girl, right? Like I've said before, you can ask a 9-year-old boy or 10-year-old boy, right? Whatever, Johnny, what's the best way to get a girlfriend? And he knows. He'll say, oh, open communication is the best policy. Right? He already has some idea. He doesn't know where he got it from. Couldn't tell you where he picked that up from. I said that before, like whenever I watch the girls on Fresh and Fit or, anywhere else, when they're confronted with like, what is a misogynist, right? Remember that when I was talking about that redhead girl, like where'd she get that definition? Where does she pick that up? She won't be able to tell you. 90% of the girls that are on these shows won't be able to tell you. Did I lose them? Oh, I'm trying to add you right now. Jay, can you get back? I'm going to give you the invite link one more time. There we go. Hopefully that'll bring you back in. There we go. I have him waiting in the wings. But anyways, when it comes to those belief sets, like all these girls, and they're always using the same language, they're always saying the same thing, but those are memes. Those are belief sets. And most of them don't even know where they got those. And we're talking women between the ages of like, say, 18 all the way up to 38. I don't know how old the oldest is. Now 42, apparently, right? But where did they get that belief set? Where do simps get their belief set? Where do blue pill guys get their belief set? Where do those memes come from? Why do they cling to those memes so tenaciously, right? To the point where they're willing to go fight another guy because they think that guy is, ethically or morally challenged according to his memes versus the guy who is simping for somebody else. You never underestimate the capacity of a blue pill chump who is under the control or under the thrall of simping for some girl. Of course I didn't queue it up for this conversation today, but one of the things that I was looking at recently was I think it was somebody gave me this story on Twitter. It was this guy who had ended up killing his wife or killing his family or whatever, or I forget, or maybe it was his parents, I think, so that he could get some money so that he could further pay the girl, this OnlyFans girl, who he thought was surely in love with him. And that was granted, the guy's probably very mentally disturbed, got it, but you give that guy that opportunity or that belief that girl on the other side of the screen, and the OnlyFans girl on the other side of the screen, is really his girlfriend or his virtual wife, and she actually cares about that guy. And you will be surprised what that man will do to sustain that fantasy for himself. In this case, I believe it was killing his parents. So that's where do you get that belief? So why is he motivated to violence? Okay, I think I got Jay back here. And by the way, I'm going to talk about that on either tomorrow or Friday. All right, how are we doing? We good? Can you hear me now? Yep, you're still cutting out, man. That mic is still bad. Thanks, Adam. I got no audio on you right now. Let me see. Red Pill Thor. Hey, man. I will no longer call our space the Manosphere, but I will call it Masculandia. I got no audio on you right now whatsoever. Oh, got a little bit.
A little bit?
There. Now you go. Now I can hear you.
Okay. Let's see.
How's that? I still got no audio on you.
Test.
There you go.
That's it. We're in.
I think so.
We think we're in.
I think you're good. Better?
Better. I can hear you.
Better. Okay. Good.
I just need to turn this up so I can hear him. I apologize.
Oh, no worries. We'll sort this out. So you should have gone over. You should have stayed at Sterling's.
I couldn't. That was the whole thing. He had one at the same time. He's like, I'm not even going to try his accent, but he's like, I've had this for a month. I said, no problem. So no problem. So I spent my day yesterday at Best Buy trying to put it all together. But hey, it's how you treat adversity, right? Just be cool.
Yeah, it's better. You gotta sort it out, man. You're getting into this. That's cool.
That's it.
There we go. They say your mic is really low. See if Tom can like boost you, if he can pot you up a little bit.
Can you turn me
I think that's I don't know if that's gonna do your vocals. Yeah. Is there any way to put the mic gain up at all?
Mic gain.
Yeah, just amp it a little bit if you can. Tell Tom to just turn the volume up on the mic if you can.
Yeah, I can't.
That's all right. I mean, if not, that's fine. I'll try to boost you on my end too. So
let's see. What if we went without the headphones, just straight talking?
Yeah, just do that.
That's good. Don't worry about it. Oh wait, now we. Oh, okay. You're gonna switch over. Tell him to shout for the rest of the. Yeah, I should do that. Shout for the rest of the live stream. I got nothing on you. You need to unmute. There you go.
How's that?
That's better. Just shout. Speak up.
I got
You know how you do.
How is this?
That's better. I can hear you at least.
Good.
Let me see. Can everybody in the chat hear Jay? Give me a 1 if you can hear Jay. Just test it real quick.
Test.
Yeah, Samishi, I'm going to be louder than him because I'm the one that's going direct. He's coming to me.
Can you hear me here?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, cool.
All right. Well, let's get started. I wanted to sort of dig into a few things. First of all, I was trying to get your background a little bit here. And I was saying before, I think that a lot of guys are going to say you're purple pill. A lot of guys are going to say, well, he's old school. But I want to understand like why they would say that in the first place. And I got a pretty good idea, but I think that a lot of guys are a lot of guys are going to say that you're simping, or a lot of guys are going to say that you're losing your frame, but I would say exactly the opposite. And I'll when we get into your video here, and I sort of pick your video apart just a bit, and I mean that in the nicest possible way. I think where you're coming from is will definitely explain how you come to the conclusions that you do. First of all, have you ever been married?
No.
No.
Absolutely not.
Do you have any plans on ever getting married?
No, absolutely not.
Okay, and why? Why is that?
It's a bad deal.
Yeah.
Bad decision. It's a horrible deal. It's like playing in the street. I don't play in the street, so no. Absolutely not.
Mm-hmm. Have you now, or do you have you had in the past like long-term relationships like that have lasted, say, like more than like 3 months?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. All right. And I think a lot of guys are going to say you're like a genetic natural in a sense. I mean, maybe the red hair, maybe the ginger was a disadvantage at some point, but I don't think it's a disadvantage to you now. Okay. So, and then finally, are your parents still together? No. So let me ask you this: like, was your father like sort of the masculine influence? Like, is he the guy that you picked up a lot of the stuff you understand about like women's nature and men's nature? Was he the one you picked it up, or was it somebody else?
No, I'd say he's the example.
Mm-hmm.
He's the example. He married my mother twice.
Oh.
We went to custody court 12 times. put us in a foster home. We had to see therapists as children. My mother did everything from accuse him of beating us to molesting my sister.
Mhm.
He is an absolute example of why I understand red pill so well, and why I understand my mother so well, why I understand and pay attention to. She was 19 years old. You know, I absolutely saw the wrong side of masculinity, and I don't go about blaming him for it, but I can tell you, she wouldn't have done that to me,
Mhm.
and I won't be putting myself in that position. I absolutely understand red pill and why it's so very important, but he didn't set certain frames correctly, and I don't blame him for that. I think there's a lot of information out there that he did not have that I have, and then I get to reflect back on what happened in my childhood. See, he saw the perfect scenario where his father was strong. He was a cotton farmer that was very successful. He built houses.
Mhm.
He was a lot like me. He was kind of fiery, and his mother was in line. He would tell me,
All right, Jay, I'm losing audio on you guys right now. I got no audio on you whatsoever at this stage. Can Tom bring that up at all, or
yeah, I'm gonna bring it up right now.
let's see, click the. There you go. That's a little better.
How we doing? How we doing?
That's a little better.
Okay. Yeah. So
Oh, much better.
my grandfather had that frame set. It was in there, and all the way down to the T.
Mhm.
At dinner, she was making the meals. He was going out. He was working. He was doing what he's supposed to do. He was hard, and you know, my father went into a relationship with a 19-year-old girl,
Mhm.
and he was, right out of Oxford, Mississippi. Went to Vicksburg. He was managing fast food joints. Married the girl. She was running away from her father, and I watched my mother do this from man to man to man across her life, and she was just in a place where she's manipulative. I watched my stepdad beat the shit out of my father in front of us on Christmas at a very early age.
Wow.
Like, there is nothing about me that doesn't understand red pill.
Mhm.
I just think that if you come in with the right frame, that you can be a gentleman. These guys that think they can go around and act hard from the beginning and not set things up correctly, I think they misunderstand women.
Mhm.
Somebody said this to me one time. I'll never forget it. And it was in regards to women's nature. And I think this is true, is if you're walking down a trail in the woods and you see a rattlesnake and you walk straight up to that rattlesnake and it bites you, are you mad at the snake? Or do you just understand that snakes bite? And so I kind of look at it that way. I think that if you do this, they do that. You do this, they do the other thing. So no, I absolutely understand very, very, very well. Very probably better than most,
Mhm.
um, about why men need to pay attention and be red pilled. In fact, I would say I probably understand it better than 99% of men.
Mhm. Now, do you think that is just from lived experience, or is it from like having to deal with women yourself? Is it like?
Both. You see the patterns, right?
Mhm.
You know, I've learned a lot from you. I've learned a lot from a lot of guys in the space. And when you start taking books like The Rational Male, and it starts, or any of the books, and it starts talking about age ranges, and they're ready to do certain things, with their party years, here
Yeah.
comes the wall, here comes this. You start to understand the pressure. Women my age, it's not so much that they want to cheat, they want the commitment. They're running out of time. And that's right in line with things you say.
Mhm.
So it's a mixture between learned experience with girls and then looking back at my childhood and say, oh, this is what was going on.
Mhm.
And it all becomes very real to me as I've studied women and female nature in general.
Adam L, thanks for that $50. Much appreciated, my friend. I don't see any message attached to that, so I'm just going to give you a shout out. Traveling Man has a good question here for you, though. What helped you understand that it wasn't just your mom or one girlfriend, but that it was all women? Thanks.
Because you see it in all these girls. I've dated, got hundreds of women at this point. The patterns are generally the same. Some girls are better girls. I believe I get the best out of girls I see. I feel like I'm getting their best. And I think setting a masculine frame, being a gentleman, is a big part of that, because they see potential in you when you act in this way. And when they see that potential, they want to put their best foot forward. They don't want to do the girls' trips and all the bullshit that these guys are talking about, and I don't want to say shitting on them, but when guys think that, all women are bad, man, I get the best out of the women I see, the absolute best. And it's not just being handsome, it's not just being tall, because you can build a lot of those things. It's about understanding how that frame is set up and who you are.
Well, that's a good start for this question right here. What does one have to do to be a gentleman? Well, we're going to start with this video right here. I think we'll just pick up with your video right fast, because I think this is I really liked this video, by the way. So just so you said. So this is off of Jay's channel. Again, you can go get the link in my description down below. So if you want to subscribe to Jay's channel, you can. I think this is an interesting summation, because I think that what you get into in this video is really about frame. And that's where I kind of wanted to start our conversation today, because everything you've just said right now is this presumption of frame. You get the best out of women, right? Because you're expecting them to be a certain way. You're expecting the exchange to be from within you, the context of the frame that you are setting. So when I watch this one, this is your video. It's only 4 minutes long, so look, just to let everybody know. It's and we'll stop it along the way, because I got my notes here of what I want to talk to you about. But I think that 90% of this video right here and what you're describing is really about frame, and that's like the number one. That's Iron Rollo Tomassi number one. Always control the frame. That's why it's number one. And I don't think a lot of I've talked about frame with Pat Campbell in the past, and I've done a few. Frame is probably one of the topic I have written about the most on The Rational Male, my blog, as well as in my books. And the reason why I wanted to sort of cover frame with you in this is because I'm also working on book 5 right now, and I keep coming back to the concept of frame when it comes to, like, how do you apply game? How are you behaving? And in what context are you behaving? Are you behaving in the context of you qualifying to that woman, or are you expecting that woman to qualify to you and to come into your world rather than you entering into her world? So let me go with the first part of this right quick.
All right.
What are you drinking right there?
You want to sleep with a girl? I've got some advice for you. You need to learn how to be a gentleman on a date. Not that you don't know how, but I do want to cover some things that are very important. Number 1, absolutely do not let her open doors. Chivalry is not dead. Women do not want to be men as much as they lead on. They want men to be men. You'll need these things later when you're having to fix a frame with her, handle guy friend situations, and things like this. She needs to know that you're going to treat her correctly, like a woman. So one thing I love to tell girls, when they try to approach a door, I tell them directly, do not open a door around me. In fact, if you beat me to the door, wait, I'll be right there, but you're not opening a door. Number 2.
All right, let me stop right there real quick. Okay, so is that an intentional thing? Like, is that, because a lot of people would say that's very overt. And now I also want to throw this one out there, because you just mentioned this a second ago. Do you think that there's going to be a difference between the reaction when you do that between a girl who's, like, say, I don't know, 21 versus a girl who's 31?
No, I don't. No, I think that one works all the way around.
Mm-hmm.
I do, because it's kind of a brain fuck,
mm-hmm.
and it's a free one. So any guy that doesn't have a whole lot of money this one's free, setting a frame. And basically what I'm getting at is this: it's really, really hard for a woman to fight you on something that makes her feel like a lady. And that is traditionally very, very much a sign of interest and care.
Mm-hmm.
So you're setting this hard, and I set it hard. I say it with force, because what you're really doing is coming in with a hard amount of masculinity, but she really can't do much about it because you're trying to be nice to her. And it's a good way to start the framework of the masculinity, because it's not like you're saying no guy friends. You're saying, hey, don't open doors around me. I'm going to open every door for you. Makes her start to kind of have that whole queen feeling. But what you're really doing is setting this very powerful, I'm in control of this situation. And so I like to start right there, right off the bat.
I like this. This is actually a good one. Contrarian expatriate. Traditional chivalry as game. Yes, actually it is. Now, before you get into, well, what is game, right? Understand that everyone you know has game. This is straight out of my second book, okay? Everyone you know has game. How effective that game is really up to whatever that person's belief set is, okay? So if your game is rooted in sort of this blue pill mentality and the conditioning that, oh, I gotta buy her a drink, I gotta suck up to her, she's the queen, I gotta, if your game is about qualifying to her, you're already at a disadvantage. So one of the things, I've actually got into this with, I think it was Jack Napier or somebody else, was talking about paying for dates, and you're going to talk about that here in just a second. And I honestly, I agree with you on this. I actually think that guys do need to pay for dates because it establishes frame. None of this egalitarian stuff, because if you start from an egalitarian framework, you're already qualifying to that girl. So what happens is, and I think a lot of guys miss the narrative, or they drop the narrative here, is that it's not about, oh, I got to pay for everything for her. What about, it's like, no, it's not even Steven, dude. This is conventional masculinity versus conventional femininity. You'll find this up. You probably already know this about me, Jay. I don't use the term traditional masculinity or traditional femininity or traditional dating, whatever, because everybody's traditions are different. So my traditions are probably different from yours. You grew up in the South. I grew up in Southern California. Our traditions are going to be different than somebody in Mumbai or somebody, in a different culture, in a different nationality, a different whatever. That's why I don't call it traditional. However, there are commonalities for conventional masculinity and commonalities for conventional femininity. That's why I refer to them in those terms anyways. But what you're doing here, and this is what I think. I think a lot of people, when they hear the term chivalry has been bastardized. It's been bastardized by a female narrative. Well, how come people don't know, is chivalry dead? Right? That's always a leading question, because it's meant to lead you into the conversation that is, oh, how come men can't be gentlemen? How come there are no nice guys anymore? Usually when you hear chivalry is dead from a woman, she's between the ages of 29 and 31 years old. Guaranteed every time. Because young women, they don't care. They have no interest in chivalry. They have no interest in where are the nice guys. You will never hear women who are 23 years old say, I can't find any nice guys, Rollo. No, that doesn't come out of their mouths. It does when they're 33, but not when they are 23, because they have different incentives and different priorities at that particular time. But, and I think I made this point with you when we were on Sterling's show, was that the idea of chivalry has been sort of bastardized. I think what a lot of guys and modern men and modern women think is chivalry is really what's called the romantic ideal. It's courtly love. Chivalry never had anything to do whatsoever with women. Like the original concept of it, it was honor amongst men. Women did barely factored into that whatsoever. It wasn't until like the mid 1400s or whatever, 1300s, 1400s, somewhere around there in Western Europe, that we have our conventional traditional idea of what chivalry is. And that was inserted into that chivalric code back in the Middle Ages and Renaissance, the early Renaissance period, right? And it was, defend milady's honor. And I've called chivalry the old school, or the bastardized version of chivalry, feminism 1.0, because women didn't have any power back then, but the way that they got power was through men, through the expectations. And remember, hear me out here, it was the expectations of those women on the guys to serve women, to qualify themselves to women. It was actually the first cut, like chivalry, according to courtly love and the romantic ideal, was really the early OnlyFans. It was trying to get guys to simp for those women so that they would go and fight and they would go and exercise power, not themselves, because they're women, they had no power, but they would exercise power through the men who believed in courtly love and believed in the chivalric code that now included courtly love in it. So we get this, oh, be a gentleman, open the door, put a kerchief on the puddle so milady can walk across the puddle, that kind of stuff. And nobody really, what I think our understanding of chivalry is right now in a kind of post-feminist world is the idea that men should qualify themselves to women, that they are the ones that have to open the doors, that have to pay for the date, that have to whatever. And so while women are expecting an old order chivalry, they are also expecting a new order egalitarianism at the same time. Now, what you're doing right now is denying them the egalitarian side of it. And I think that's the distinction that needs to be made right here, because a lot of people are saying, oh, well, chivalry is game. It's not a game. It's a setting the frame and a masculine frame that she is to enter into. And on top of everything else, from what you're describing to me, now correct me if I'm wrong, but from what you're describing to me right now, you're setting that in no uncertain terms. You're demonstrating frame, not explicating frame, right? So it's like, no, I got that. I'm paying for the date. You're in my world right now, and when you're in the prince's world, this is how things are, and I expect you to enter into this world. Am I right?
That's right.
Okay.
That's absolutely right.
Let me continue with this a little bit more here.
Choose a place that you can afford for dinner, and don't be cheap about it. You're a man. You can buy dinner. That is the role. That's ultimately the role if you're going to become a certain value of man. So don't try to split a bill with a woman. Take her somewhere you can afford and do the math. Estimate. What if she wants to get an appetizer? Let her get an appetizer. In fact, one thing I love to tell a waitress is, get this lady whatever she wants. Take her to a restaurant that you can afford to say that at. And don't be cheap about it. If you need to save for an extra couple of days, if you need to work a side job, whatever you need to do, make her feel like a woman. I can't stress enough how important it is to pay attention to how you make people feel. And that's regardless of whether you have a valid point or you're right or wrong or what logically makes sense. Pay attention to how you make her feel.
That's actually, I want to point that out. That's game 101 right there. That's actually even old school PUA. Leave her with an emotional association with you. So can you explain that a little bit more? Like, what did you mean by all of that? Do you want to go into a little bit more detail about, ordering for her? I like that part.
Yeah, so I believe that you can emotionally grab a woman by the throat. Women, I often find, don't even know what they want. I don't think that they understand what drives them crazy when it comes to a man. And I often think that when they think they're going to leave over one reason, it's absolutely not that when they leave a man. So what I'm trying to do when I go in and I say, get this woman whatever she wants, I want her to know that she's under me and that I'm taking care of the situation with conviction. All leadership, love, women, leading other men, it comes from speaking with conviction and them knowing that you're the one that should be calling the plays. So when you go in there and you say, listen, you're not going to open doors around me, I'm going to open these doors. It's the same thing that drives them crazy when you pull their hair or grab their throat or something of that nature when you have sex. They enjoy that dominance role. And you're saying it with complete conviction, so they don't really try to come in and break that up. And to be quite honest with you, I'd much rather trade off opening doors and being a gentleman for what I really want in the end, which is I'm going to do whatever the hell I want to do. You're not going on, guys. Like, I'll trade those small things to set that frame. That way, when the bigger things come up later, I'm being authentic with who I am. So I come with that same force on a much more important subject. So something as simple as opening a door or an appetizer seemed quite small to me
And if I need to worry about an appetizer or opening a door, then maybe I need to look in the mirror myself.
Mhm.
So what I'm basically trying to do there is give her a feeling of a person that's in abundance and in control.
Right. Yeah, that's good. I like that. The abundance side of things. In fact,
Yeah.
that's a key issue in my 5th book right now. I think 90% of the problems that a lot of guys have in accepting red pill realities and then using those or leveraging that awareness to their best advantage is the idea that they can have abundance, because they still are operating from a point of scarcity. When guys if you are qualifying to women, if you are, I believe the terminology is most men's sexual strategy is what's called strategic pluralism theory. They don't have access to a lot of women. So when they get access to one woman, they tend to overinvest in that woman. They tend to put all their eggs, their sort of reproductive sort of intimacy eggs, in one basket. That's why I've called the sniper mentality rather than the shotgun mentality, which is a sniper has one target and he waits and waits and waits and waits and waits and waits and does everything he should do. And then that one time he takes that one shot, he better hope he gets it, right? And that's what a lot of guys, particularly in a blue pill game, tend to think is going to be effective for them. If I just prove to her I'm the best, if I just prove to her that I'm Mr. Perfect, if I just prove to her that, prove my quality to milady kind of thing, and do it often enough and build on familiarity and build on rapport and build on comfort and everything, then suddenly that guy turns into a stuffed animal and he doesn't understand why he's turned himself into a stuffed animal. So when that guy decides he wants to get intimate with that girl, he's not a sexual competitor. He's not arousing. He's a stuffed animal. She sees him as comfort and provisioning and support, rather than a guy who is actually in control and wants to, be dominant in the bedroom. And she will never take that guy seriously because he began that exchange, or he began that game, right? That approach by getting ahead of himself. It's usually arousal and then comfort, not comfort and then arousal. Right. And when you think that you're going to get to arousal through comfort, you're always going to be disappointed. So yeah, I wanted to this was a really good one. Let's cover this really quick. This is a Digibite says, he says, I disagree. Dinners you pay for women that you've already slept with. I've gotten this before, and I know what I would say, but I'm going to let you field this one. Dates are meant to be quick and simple. Grab a coffee, tea, whatever, 30 minutes and go. What the principle here is, and I've heard this a million times from other guys, is that I only pay for dates for girls I've already slept with. Do you think that's putting the cart before the horse?
I'd say the same thing on a coffee date. You can go to coffee if you want. You can go to dinner if you want. To me, you're really splitting hair. You would be splitting hairs over that. So if you want to take her on a coffee date and do the same thing, or show abundance in a different way, that's completely fine. I do dinner a lot of the time. I'm not really worried about the money, so I would say that maybe later in life you might do those other things. Also, I'm dating 9s and 10s, man. Straight up, like not to upset anybody, but that and I like doing it that way. I like setting that frame from the jump. What I will say is that you're absolutely right. A quick way to not get a woman, or to lower your chances of liking that relationship in the correct way, is only seeing one woman. You should be seeing multiple women. It takes the pressure off of you.
That's what my next
question. Every woman. So they all think I'm that one guy that opened doors, that one guy that told them to get whatever. We're talking about a $10 appetizer right now. So to me, being in abundance is one of the most important things you can possibly do, because it takes all the pressure away. Because if you ruin it with this girl, then who cares? You got 30 more of them.
Right.
So.
Right. That's abundant. That right there is it in a nutshell. Probably, I don't know if you've read my book as thoroughly, maybe, I don't know, but that's plate theory is what that is. That's the abundance side, I think, of, well, first of all, setting the frame. And then second of all, it's red pill 101, right? A date non-exclusively and never imply exclusivity to any one girl. Now, a lot of guys, because of what I said was strategic pluralism theory, most guys who are like the 80%ers, right? They're the guys who don't have as much access to top quality women like you do, right? You're top 20%, right? Those guys, their game, their strategy is based on focusing on one girl. And I think that's always going to be a mistake. And a lot of guys, can't even get that out of their head. The meme in their head is that one man, one woman. That's how it works.
Well, look, I'm gonna tell you right now, man. I'm from South Louisiana. There's more 10s in the Target in Midtown. Ask Sterling or Myron. There's more 10s in the Sterling in Midtown than there are in the whole state of Louisiana. So I was happy doing it with 7s or 8s in Louisiana because there's no 10s walking around the mall in South Louisiana. There's just not. There's 30 of them walking around down there in Brickell right now in probably one store. So I don't think it matters where she's a 9 or a 10 or not. Women are wired the same, and they can feel whether they're in the presence of a man who's going to make them feel safe, who is going to be dominant and take the leadership role, and who kind of gives them that feeling that this man can get other women, which they are a lot more attracted to than they lead on. In fact, I think it turns women on knowing that you can get other women.
Absolutely. Yes. Because I think on some level of consciousness, and this is true in general, women want to be with a guy that other men want to be and other women want to bang. That's pretty much the basics. That's simple. Women's ego is associated with the quality of guy, with the level of guy that they are able to attract and keep. So it's not just like people will say, oh, it's just because they want attention from their girlfriends. Yeah, that's part of it. But it's also ego affirming for that girl to say, yeah, I'm so hot, I'm so high quality, whatever, that I can get a guy like this. And it's
there's only one way for her to gauge that.
It becomes a positive feedback loop for that woman at that point. This is really
gauges that is that other women want you, and she knows it.
Yes, it's also, that's also passive dread. It's not in your face, hey bitch, I'm gonna go get other girls. No, it's other girls clearly want to get with you. Other women flirt with you. Her girlfriend say, man, Jay's looking real good today. Right? That kind of, when it's third party dread like that you didn't have to initiate, that is the most valuable pre-selection, social proof that you can have, is third party proof that you did not have to solicit in the first place. When people are saying, hey man, I really wish her girlfriends are saying, man, I wish I had what you had, right? Even if she's just a plate, she's still going to think that, you're the type of guy that she can get. And that kind of ruins it. Unfortunately, that kind of ruins it for a lot of guys who are certainly going to be lesser than her. You want to know how you create an alpha widow? That's exactly how you create an alpha widow.
Yeah, but look, man,
what it is.
Fear equals respect equals love. Fear, respect, love. So that's that dread. That she respects you for things like having a dominant frame, being able to get other women, and then love. And a lot of times that love happens while she's chasing you, and she's really, a lot of times the way to get her to chase you is for her to know that you have those options. She's like, I need to do more. Yeah. So now you're fighting for position, and I don't care again if you're dating 10s or you're dating 6s and 7s. It is the same thing. Yeah.
Mustang has a good observation here. He says, I think opening doors, making decisions, leading her around is similar to being able to manipulating your environment like creative intelligence. Yes, because what it does is it establishes this is your world. I forget who it was. Was it Sterling who told me this, or I forget who told me this? Is like, it's always good to make connections in the cities that you're in. Like, so if you take a girl to a bar and grill, it's good to already know who the bartender is. It's already good to be on a first name basis with like the club promoter or whatever.
Right. Well, you walk in, they're like, hey, Justin, good to see you. And they shake hands, and she's like, what? So it's social proof. Yeah, it's
instant social proof. And I think that a lot of guys, because they don't understand the social intelligence is just kind of not what it used to be. I think a lot of guys think that's like glad handing, or they think it's just like, it's not worth the effort. The juice isn't worth the squeeze, to go to all that trouble to go and make those connections. It's not just about that though. I mean, it's good to have connections, man. It's good to have friends. It's good to be social. It's good to have, even if it's not, directly intended to get the girls, it's also good to know who the bouncer is at the club at some time. Maybe you just want to hang out with the guy. So it's not just about that. The proximate cause is not what the ultimate cause happens to be. What did you say, Jay? Wando, just 9s and 10s. Yeah, Ryan Stone. Let me keep going with this. I really like this entire video, so I want to push this
Absolutely do not be on your cell phone.
Women value attention. It's their currency. A great friend of mine taught me that, named Andrew Tate. And I can tell you something, he's actually right. He is absolutely right. Give her your full attention. You can make a woman fall for you in many ways. One way you can fuck it up is not giving her your absolute attention. Put the phone down, put it face down, if it's even on the table, and show her that you can give her that attention. Because if you're working your ass off the way you should be as a man, you might not always be around. So a way to help that is to give her undivided focus, pure, like pure fucking cocaine, attention. Give it to her fully. Make eye contact, be there, be present. Don't be looking around, don't be in your phone, and certainly don't be looking at other women. You can't sleep with them both at the same time. So I would definitely pay attention to that. Another thing that's very, very, very...
Let's stop right there, because I know people are going to have a problem with that one right there.
Well, one caveat I would say is, I asked Thomas, it was post-editing, to add something on that. You actually can sleep with two women at one time?
All right, so let me explain to you where Andrew Tate picked up that idea that attention is the coin of the realm and girl world. That's directly out of my book, is where that's from. When I talk about attention from women, it's usually there's different types of attention, by the way. I should add to that as well. Attention is how, like, when men have dominance hierarchies and competence hierarchies, we talked about that on Sterling's show. It's usually by what you can do, what's your talent set, what is it, what makes you respectable, right? For women, it's what kind of attention can you garner and from who? So when guys are, when women are on OnlyFans and they've got hundreds of thousands of OnlyFans simps, the attention of those guys is very low value. Like, it might be valuable enough for them to go get whatever the tip is or whoever their pay pigs are. Okay, understood. But by and large, they are not going to get with 90% of the guys who would be like simping for them in the first place or would be members on their side at all. So that is low value attention for women. High value attention is the guy who is on top of his game, the guy that she has to qualify to get his attention. And I think that's the distinction that needs to be made right here. It's not just about you being attentive, because what happens is, and this is old school PUA 101, once again, is being the prince, right? Being the guy whose attention is valuable to her in the first place. So when the prince takes time out of his busy fucking day to spend time with you and take you on a date, and he is paying attention to you, that attention needs to be the most valuable thing in the world to that girl. Now, I know later on in this video, you're going to talk about 50 Shades of Grey, and I like the example you threw out here. But as far as attention is concerned, I think a lot of people are going to say, well, it's if you're not flirting with other girls, or if you're not paying 100% undivided attention to that girl, then that in some case means that you're simping for that girl. So can you make a distinction between, like, say, being overly invested and simping for that girl by being attentive versus having your attention be so valuable that she appreciates you having that attention?
Absolutely. So first, I'd say on the attention subject, when I'm talking about giving her your full attention, when you're sitting there at the table, you put the phone down and you give her your attention. That's a no-brainer. And to me, I like to do that because she knows that if I go to a meeting or I'm doing something, I'm giving that thing my full attention. So if she texts me and I don't answer, I'm busy, which makes her chase you. And she knows you're telling the truth because you're authentic with the fact that you give attention when it's time to give attention. So for example, if I tell her I'm in a meeting and she remembers that when I was spending my time with her, that I was not answering my phone, then she believes you. You could be on another date, you could be doing whatever you want. But now all of a sudden your time becomes exponentially more valuable because she believes it, because you set the frame as when I make a commitment, like a man does, I'm showing up and I'm showing up fully. And so if you give that to her, she's going to understand that when you say you're out there doing something and it's important and you're working, you're on your journey, she's gonna chase that. So that's one of the biggest reasons I give women my full attention. And other than that, man, paying attention and being able to keep a conversation going and not to have those gaps of quiet, then all of a sudden they think you're an incredible conversationalist,
Right.
and you're funny all of a sudden, and all it is paying attention. It's not being ADD. It's putting the phone down and see what she says, and that's how dates, they go stale, because you're not talking anymore. There's phone, quiet. There's no conversation. You'd be surprised how easy it is to keep a conversation going with a human if you're actually paying attention to them. That's man or woman.
Yeah. I another thing that I've been covering in my book on game right now is how to be a good conversationalist and how to get women to talk about themselves. Like, I think a lot of guys will say this, like anything whatsoever, like PU, it's all PUA, right? All that game playing, that manipulation. She should just want you like immediate. Like, no, that's not how it works. Okay. And as much as people want to take me to the woodshed or whatever about like direct game and all this other stuff, it's like that, sitting around and waiting for girls to just sort of roll up to you and go, oh, I choose you. Let's go bang. Are you DTF? That doesn't happen, man. And it doesn't happen because women want to figure you out. They want to have, like, I've said something straight out of, I think it was book 2. I said this is that women, there's nothing that is more self-satisfying to a woman than to believe that she's figured you out based on her feminine intuition. She wants to unravel you. Most guys are too upfront. Like, they will just blurt out their life story on the first date all over the restaurant table. And it's like, then I was 12 and my mom did this, and, and then I went to high school, and then because they believe in the bullshit of open communication and all this other stuff. So, no, you need to be a mystery. But still, you've got to be there, present in the moment. You can't just be like, I think a lot of guys think that aloofness, like being aloof, is like sort of a key to game. It's not. Amused mastery definitely is, but being aloof is just like you sort of expecting her to carry that conversation. If you're on a date, if you're interacting intersexually with a woman, there is back and forth. It's not just, hey, do you want to fuck, bitch? Yeah, okay, let's go. That clearly that doesn't work, right? I mean, it's unless you're paying for it, which is another topic I wanted to ask you about. But I also like the idea of you talking about having a plan, because that's something that's I put in book 5 as well. Most guys failing to plan is planning to fail, right? Isn't that what they said? And so if you don't plan, most guys don't plan for success. They keep figuring out like, oh, how do I get this girl? How do I get to it? Then once they get to that point, they don't know what to do, because they can't believe that whatever it was worked for them. And now they got to figure out what they're going to do. Where are they going to go? And not having a plan and not really understanding what to do once they get their foot in the door, sort of thing. And I like that idea. What you were talking about before is, if she wants to get this, if she order for her, right? It sounds like old school chivalry, but what that old school chivalry was, for lack of a better term, was establishing dominance, establishing a frame, establishing control over your environment and displaying it, not talking about it, exemplifying it, demonstrating it by already having had that plan ready to go. So let me, what did you say here? Let me grab this. What did you say, Yuri? Are you going to do personal consultations outside of group calls on Patreon? Yes, I am. And the book, as I said, the book is going swimmingly right now. I'm probably going to be done with it by September. So keep that in here. I am doing group counseling, by the way, on Patreon. I just did the first one back on the 19th of August. So if that's something you're interested in, I have a $200 tier on Patreon so that you can participate in those. I do them once a month. If that's not what you want to do, email me, and I'm still happy to do personal consultations. So that's the answer to your very expensive question. Thank you. Let me put this.
Very important is control the situation. You are the man. You need to be decisive.
There you go.
It's very important. I'm not saying that you should order for her, but I'm absolutely saying there should not be a lot of, well, what do you think about this? Or would you like to go here or here? Say, hey, here, this time, women love details. There's a very famous book called The 50 Shades of Grey, and it's very, very, very detailed. Every detail about every situation is clearly pointed out and brought to color into life with all senses. in this book, and it's one of the most read book by women of all time. Pay attention to details, be precise with those details, because women absolutely respect that. And they like men they respect. So to be a gentleman, open doors. Go to a place where you can pay for it. Don't split the tab. Don't buy into this feminist bullshit. Open the door, pick up the tab, be decisive when you're planning the date, be confident, give her your full attention, and you're gonna do really, really well. You don't need to be rich to make this right. You need to be a man, you need to be decisive, and you need to be an absolute gentleman. It's really important.
There you go. So I like the idea of being in control, and I wanted to also bring up the fact that you mentioned 50 Shades of Grey, and I think that's a real important one to throw out there, because I think a lot of women, when they come at me about really anything that I talk about when it comes to, like, women's nature and being red pill aware, when they come at me, they always want to say, it's anecdotal, or they want to say it's, not in my case kind of thing. But my fallback is always 50 Shades of Grey, because that was a self-published book by really she was a fan fiction, EL something, or I forget her last name, was a self-published book, and by a fan fiction author who just happened to hit the right button at the right time with the right women. But you are 100% correct in how detailed the interactions are between really a nondescript woman. It could be anyone, and that's intentionally so, because women want to be able to sort of like insert themselves into the role of whatever that chick's name. I don't even know the girl's name, right? Whatever the lead, it could be like a Belle from Twilight, right? whatever the female interest is, she's kind of like, she's not like super gorgeous. She's just somebody that like women can sort of insert themselves into that role. But the guy's role is very specific, and he's very much in control. And that is I think a primary archetype, let's just say, for romance literature in general. So the guy can't just be good looking. Like, that's easy. They can get good looking, is just that comes with the standard operating package, right? The guy also has to be a leader of industry, right? He also has to be a debonair, scoundrel, and he also has to be somebody that she has to tame. And I wanted to get your input on that as well, because like right now, it's like you've got this control side of things, but is it like, can you talk about how it is like women want to sort of tame the savage beast?
How women do?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I mean, absolutely. They're all, and this is why I think plate spinning is very important, because one thing about that book is he's constantly mysterious to her.
Mm-hmm.
And he's giving her parts of him
Right.
throughout, and she's chasing those parts, and she's questioning those parts and thinking about it, and she's having her body and everything and her emotions go through things for the first time. And I actually listened to the book, so when he's talking, he's very calm, and she kind of thinks he's arrogant, and almost everything that society tells you a man shouldn't be like, with his arrogance and the way that he is. And there you are with a woman chasing you, trying to understand why you are not what the world says you should be, but for some reason that she can't quite put her finger on, she wants to settle you down.
Yeah.
I tell my nephew this all the time about women. It's kind of like a boxing analogy. It's like when a woman hits an age that she's sexually able to reproduce, or she gets her breasts or whatever, almost every man in her life is coming at her, trying to sleep with her or be with her. And so it's just like she's up against the ropes, kind of just trying to dodge it, and if you're that guy that kind of takes care of all of your things and you're there, she's going to see you there, and she's going to wonder why. She's going to want to chase you. She drops her hands, and when she drops her hands, trying to figure out why you're not like all those other guys. You're masculine, you're open the doors, but you're not really chasing her. Mm-hmm. But you treated her well, and you gave her your full attention. Boom. And that's it. Mm-hmm. And that's generally how it goes. And you can do that with multiple women at one time, and they'll chase you because you're just that much mysterious, and you treated her well. She felt safe around you. She felt like you were a leader, so she respected you because you were decisive. And now she wants to change you.
Mhm.
And a quick way to lose that position with that woman is to let her do so. If you start to change and go from where you were into like the everyday guy that's been trying to go after her, then all of a sudden she's like, oh, well, I'm going to leave him. You know, he doesn't do this or he doesn't do that. No, she's not chasing you anymore. She doesn't respect you anymore.
Mhm.
And
Because
so
you're not what
it's dangerous.
you're not what you sold yourself as being, right?
Yeah.
Everybody, a lot of guys will tell me this. They'll say, you know, hey, Rollo, I got married, or I moved in with her, or I decided to get into a long-term relationship with her, and now we're living together, whatever it is. And now the guy's like, oh, and she's not as sexual anymore. She doesn't want to, you know, go bang in the backseat of the car or whatever, like we used to when we were dating, kind of thing. And I think a lot of guys have a tough time understanding that the going from like the arousal stage to this comfort stage is very critical for a lot of guys, because they end up becoming their true selves, right, to that girl. And their true self is really the guy who is simping, right, is really the guy who was just sort of wanted to go along to get along. He's not really who he sold himself as when they were dating. He's not actually the guy who's in control. He's not actually the guy who opened the doors, right? He's not actually the guy who had to say, hey, I'll order for you. He's not that guy. Because once she starts getting to know him, that's what I've said before, is like familiarity and rapport and comfort. All of that is anti-seductive. And what women are trying to do, especially if they have decided that they want to be in a long-term relationship with you, is that they are trying to determine if you're the real deal. Are you the guy that you purport yourself to be all the time? Authentic, right? That's what we were just talking about. And a lot of this game, a lot of this kind of stuff where you're like, you're going to be the man kind of guy. It's all based on this concept of being an authentic guy. Well, was the authentic you the guy who opened the door and was in control of his world when you were dating? Or is the authentic you the guy who is just like, okay, honey, where do you want to go now that you're in a relationship with that girl? And that's why that incongruency right there is what causes that lack of arousal. It causes that lack of attraction, because you were one way and now you become another way. And so you were really faking it. You were really trying to trick her, or at least her hindbrain thinks that you were trying to do an end run around her hypergamous filter to see if you're really the guy that you said you were. You want to know why women cheat on you? That's why they cheat on you, because they know what you're about now. Like when I said before, and maybe you can speak on this as well, is like the idea of mystery, of trying to figure out what you're really about. And then once that woman has figured out what you're about, that's when it's like, do I want to stick with this guy or do I not want to stick with this guy? Is he really who he says he is, or is he really the guy who's you're gonna make partner in the law firm, or is he really a sandwich artist, right? Is that who I woke up with in the morning? And I think that level of mystery and that level of sort of what I call breadcrumb theory, right? It's leading that woman along, giving her little rewards about yourself as you're dating, and as you are, like, if she is a plate, for example, you want to keep her guessing. You want that imagination to keep going, because that is what draws her in, and that's what makes her decide whether or not she wants to have an emotional investment in you. Now, my question is this, Jay. Once you get that, and she's very invested in you, how do you maintain non-exclusivity with that girl?
So I'll tell them, I'll start setting frames about, believing in monogamy or not. I will do that. That'll cost you some women. But if you hold your frame, and you don't tiptoe around it. I had a girlfriend. She told me that she had left her previous boyfriend, her fiance, because he had caught her cheating. Truth is, she didn't leave him because of that, because most women know that men are wired to do it. She left him because he was scared of her. Mm-hmm. He didn't say, yeah, I did it. What about it? Get back to it. So he went to I'm so sorry. Blah, blah, blah. Dude, respect gone immediately. Gone. It's over. And that's another thing. And that's why you should always be spinning plates, is because what really happens, I think, to a man is that he goes and moves in with that girl, and then he stops chasing other women. And then he gets fat, he gets lazy, he gets off of what he's supposed to be doing at work, and then she starts not respecting him because he becomes a lesser version of himself. I always say this all the time, is like you have a male and female energy, right? And the male's way up here. Well, the more time they spend around each other, the more that starts to balance out. And what's the driving factor of a man is women. Every road, every building, every invention, everything that we build and maintain is man's pursuit of woman. It's the most powerful thing in the world. And so you're going to get with a woman, and then you're going to stop doing that and think you're going to become a better man. No, you're going to become an average man, and she doesn't want an average man. So then she cheats on you.
I want to ask you, because you did a video on this, and I wanted to put this video on, but I didn't want to do 2 videos. But I want you to explain to me what bitch voice is. You knew I was going to ask you. What is bitch voice?
Look, man, I feel like all of us have that voice inside of us that says, don't go to the gym. Or, you know, it hurts too bad. Or, you know, you can make those sales calls tomorrow. Or you can settle in with this job, it won't be so bad. And I think there's a second voice in all of us, and I think those 2 voices are conflicting. And it's the one that says, shut the fuck up, do it anyway. Bullshit, you know you can do better. Quit this fucking job, go do your own business. You know, it's, oh, but she's gonna leave. Well, good, because I'm not gonna be happy anyway, so I might as well tell her the fucking truth. And you'd be surprised that the more you listen to that stronger voice, the smaller that bitch voice gets. You can drown it out. You can choke it out. It's a very real thing. You get it all the way down to a whisper, because what you're really doing is telling the other side no so many times that it's a habit. It's a neural pathway. So if you tell that bitch voice to shut up that many times and then you go to the gym anyway, the next thing you know, you're not even having that conversation in your head anymore. You're just hitting the blinker after work and taking a left instead of a right. So
yeah, I like that. When I watched that one, I was like, I understand that. And I get a lot of guys will make the comparison between that and like self conversations. Like they, you know, beware what you tell yourself kind of thing. And I know that a lot of guys get into, I think they end up taking that a little bit too far, in the sense that it becomes like sort of success porn, right? It's like, just get up and do it, you know, stop being a little bitch and go out there and do it. Well, I get that, but I think that a lot of that motivation and that pep talk also has to be, it has to align with what your strengths are, what your realities are, what it is that you like, you know, you're capable of, and what you know that you're not capable of. At least maybe not yet anyways, but the motivation side, I also would compare that to my concept of mental point of origin. And so when I talk about mental point of origin, I talk about how, again, this is an aspect of my work and my books that I think gets misconstrued a lot. So I have to sort of like give the real definition of what mental point of origin is. It's not get up and do it, stop being a little pussy, right? That's not what mental point of origin is. What mental point of origin is that it boils down to enlightened self-interest, right? I can't help others until I can help myself. I cannot help others as well as when I have already helped myself. And that comes from the idea that I am the primary. I am the one, if all good things proceed from me. So if I'm faced with a decision, then whatever decision that I make, I trust myself well enough and I know myself well enough that I'm going to make a good decision, or I'm going to do this because I am the first person that enters into my thought process when I'm trying to make that decision. Anyone else who is attached to me or associated with me, whether that's the girls, the plates that I'm spinning, or that's my family or my wife or my daughter or my mom or whoever else that is in some way emotionally or financially dependent upon me, that my best interests are going to be their best interests as well. And most guys will never understand that. They will never be able to have that become their second nature, or internalize it to the point where it's like, okay, I'm faced with a decision. How does this affect me? Because most guys are taught from a very early age that they should put mommy first, or family first, or sister first, or wife first, or girlfriend, or potential girlfriend, or potential wife before they make those decisions. How is this going to affect my future life with, again, like you were saying before, the sex that I hope to have, or the reproductive problem that I hope to solve at some point? What happens is that ends up defining your life for you. So that's how you get the bitch voice. That's how you get the, oh, what would mommy say? Oh, what would teacher say? What would girlfriend say if I made this decision? What if I did that? The point is that the problem is that the first thing that entered into your decision-making thought, conceptual idea process was someone else, not you.
And I'd add to that.
That's what mental point of origin is.
You're absolutely right. You train people how to treat you. And so just like I said, respect equals love. When you start doing things that you know you should do, you start to respect yourself. And then after as time has gone by of respecting yourself, you start to love yourself. And I feel like there's a direct reflection that comes off of you that tells other people how to treat you, to chase you, to find you valuable. When you can clearly value yourself, when it's coming off of you that you're making decisions for your best interest and you're not sorry about it because you know you're worth it, people want to chase that because it's very rare. That's when you start drawing people into you. I always say all the time is like, I don't chase women, I absorb women. You know, people come to you because of that self-love that you have for yourself, because you respect yourself, because you did certain things from that point of origin.
I got two questions for you. Here's one observation, and I knew this was going to come, so I'm just going to throw this out there because people say, "Oh, you never put my stuff up." Here it is. Okay, Rollo asking a top 10% Chad how to explain game is like a thought. Why, or asking a thought? Why do guys buy her a Gucci bag? Such a confusing episode tonight. Okay, so. And then that gets to this. So this was the other one that was right below that, actually. And this is this. Hello, gentlemen. Mr. Waller is clearly an alpha male. How well will these skills with women work with men who are not as alpha? Which is sort of goes back to what the other guy was criticizing you for. I want to talk to. I like Jay because Jay he hasn't always been who you're looking at right now in front of you. Okay. He's got a he's got a backstory to everything. It's not like he was just born into this. All right. So that's why I wanted to sort of dig into like what your family was. Sorry if I had getting a little bit personal, but like I wanted to pre-establish that at first. So what would you tell this guy who says, what would you say to guys that are not as alpha as you? Is it going to be just alpha up? Or is it going to be like, here are some concrete ways to start like reimagining what your life is about?
Rollo, I'm sending you a photo right now.
Okay. Let's see.
Got them both?
Did you text them to me?
I text them.
Okay, hang on. They probably haven't. Oh, there they are. Hold on a sec. Let's see. I haven't got them yet. When they come through, I'll put them up. Did you email or did you text them to me?
I text them to you. Oh, hold on. My phone was on airplane mode. 1 second. I'm going to get them really quick.
Ah, there we go. Okay, I got them. You want me to are you cool with me?
Put them up there.
Okay. All right. Gosh. Okay, we'll start with this one. Oh boy. Okay, so this is and okay, so give us a little background on what this is here. 1 second. There it is. Oh, not that one. This one. All right.
Maybe
so what's this all about?
So I'm about 30 pounds, 40 pounds overweight right now. In this photo, if you go to the next one.
Okay.
Did you get the second one?
Yeah, I got it. Hang on. I'm going to share it here. There you go. Oh yeah, this is a better one.
25 years old.
Uh-huh.
Less than $100 in my bank account. 248 pounds.
Damn. What do you weigh now?
215. 210, 215, somewhere in that area, depending on water. Look at the back of that. Look behind that door. You see that sheetrock?
Uh-huh.
It's not finished. It's not floated. poor, fat, broke, ginger. I'm not listening to the shit, man. I'm not.
Right.
I'm not fucking listening to it. Right there says it all. I'm really glad I have that photo, actually, because you know, man, even if I wouldn't have done as well as I've done, any guy that's either thinks he's short or he thinks first of all, girls do not care about how handsome you are as much as you think. Number one, I see trolls around everywhere in the world, ugly guys, Shrek-looking guys that you can tell are not the dude you want to meet in an alley, holding the hands of a beautiful women that I would date. So that's number one. And then number two, I think that if you handle your fitness alone, then you can just look mean and scary. You know, you don't have to always go playboy. These guys, you should not rest your laurels on tall, handsome guy. You can handle your situation. You can handle your education. Get out of your small town. You can handle your thought process. You can read books like Rollo's books and other books that are out there and other red pill things that are out there. And you can control the frame. And then you can be a gentleman. And I think you'd be shocked at how much more effective being a masculine, dominant gentleman is than being an angry guy that didn't do the work, or a black pill guy that's just mad and using the excuses.
Yeah.
Let's call a spade. I am fat, broke, and ugly in that photo. Not that long ago.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. I think that's sort of what is lost on these guys, on a lot of guys right now, who, especially guys who are critics of the red pill. Now, again, this isn't me like trying to make a case for like being like, tradcon or anything like that. What I'm saying is like, this is, especially if you want to talk about like, being authentic. I've done episodes about this before where it's like, I've said, look, there's a school of thought, and this is really kind of like the Rich Cooper school of thought, which is like, don't chase women, just chase excellence, right? Well, sometimes it's doing both. Usually it is doing both, because if you're chasing excellence, a byproduct of chasing that excellence tends to be you have more options with women. That's why. And so what does that chasing excellence look like to you, right? Is it getting thinner? Is it putting on muscle, man? Maybe you're already a skinny guy, right? And you just want to put on some meat, right? What is it that you have to do? And I've said this before. This is my question for the entire, year of 2020. Is like, or 2021. What do you want? What is the final outcome of what you would like to do with the rest of your life, right? Do you want to have hot women? Do you want to spin plates? Is that the goal? Is that where you want to be in another, 2, 5 years, whatever it is? Do you want to be in a better position financially? Do you want to be in better shape physically? What is it? John from Modern Life Dating: make money, make muscles, and learn game, right? Okay. Well, usually it's a combination of those three in some way, but like, where do you want to be as a result of that? What are you deficient in, and what are you not deficient in? And go ahead?
Well, I would say, I think that everybody agrees on those categories. Those categories are absolutely, and I do put them in order. And it's fitness first. Then it's the money, and then the women come. And that's why I say you absorb women, because they see you on your path and they chase you, or you just run them slap over. And I don't look, it doesn't matter where you start. Women are going to chase you. There's not enough good men out there. In fact, like these guys, they think that these chads that they sleep with all these girls, dude, I don't have time to check all those apps. I got shit to do. I got shit to do, man. So, I miss just as many as I catch, or I don't know about it at all, because I have shit to do. So I think that the answer to your question, though, is whatever the hell you want. So what you want to do is make sure you have all those things in line. And so when you get to that place in your life, you have choice, because choice is freedom. You can get married, or you can have 5 wives, or you can have 50 girlfriends. What you want is the choice. That's what you want.
Yeah, I keep, people keep saying, hey, don't focus on women, focus on your future, focus on your success, right? Chase excellence. And I keep saying, it doesn't have to necessarily be one or the other. You can be doing all of that at the same. Jay, would you say that you pursue women? Are there girls that you go, man, I'm gonna date that girl. I'm gonna go and see if I can get her. I'm gonna get her in a bed. Or do you like? Are there girls that you go? I'm gonna put out some effort to go get with this chick, or like how? Like, give me an example of like how you like you were just saying a minute ago, like open doors for them, go on the date, order for them. That like, give me an example of how you go from like 0 to you're at the date. Like, do they source you or do you source them? Like, what's the process of that?
It can happen in any way. It can happen through an app.
Mm-hmm.
It can happen in a grocery store. It can happen through a friend of a friend, and all of those things come from the same place. It's about who you are as a man. So if I think a girl's beautiful in a grocery store, I'll walk up to her and I'll tell her, or I'll talk to her, or what I'll really do is if I'm in line, I'll talk to the little old lady right next to us.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'll be cutting up, and then I'll be like, "Hey, so what do you think about this?"
Old lady game.
Conversation, bro. Keto.
Yeah.
My boy Tristan Tate says. So I mean, it's all kind of ways, but at the root of it, you can take one woman in an office setting, let's say, and you can take two different men, and one of those men took care of his fitness, his finance, and understands the frame of women, so he doesn't come on too strong. And you can take another guy who didn't take care of his fitness or his money or how he dresses himself and grooms himself. And they can say the exact same thing to the exact same woman on the exact same day, and she will respond differently. So is it the woman in that scenario? Mm-hmm. Or is it educating yourself? I made a video that said money or women first. It's a YouTube video that's actually out right now. Mm-hmm. And what I said in the video, if I can recall correctly, is that I never chased women. I gave my 20s up with, fitness and building my business, but women came. So what I did is educate myself about women in my 20s. So I understood how they work, and I just kept along that path. And because I was so busy, and because I was hard to catch, and because I was on my little mission to get out of, South Louisiana, they just chased me, and they came and they went, but I never got my heart broken, not post-college. And man, I'll tell you, educating yourself around how women work really is what you need to do. And that's why I think your books are so powerful, because they're not necessarily telling you say this, she says this, and then boom, she's, there's no panties. Mm-hmm. It's understand, and then let's set some frames, and then you be this person and she'll chase that person.
Mm-hmm. I've mentioned before, and I think that really a redefinition, really the definition of game is really like social skills. It's like having the skills to even like open a conversation or being comfortable enough to, as you were saying before, like when you were talking about like being, having 100% was undivided attention, right? You also mentioned eye contact, and I think that's really important. A lot of guys, like they just simply can't like hold that eye contact because I think that you got to remember, like eye contact is central to the human attack posture. So it's like if you're like looking at somebody, it's almost confrontational when you do that, and a lot of guys are very uncomfortable with that. But again, it comes back to that sort of that focused attention on that person. And again, I think it's almost like giving yourself permission to be social with that person, or having the confidence to know that you can open a conversation and carry on a conversation. Now, my question is this: do you think that guys to have effective game, or to be like, to be an alpha guy, right? Do they have to be extroverts, or can they be introverts? Because a lot of introverts will say, well, I'm not like that. I'm not an extrovert, so it'll never work for me. I would argue against that, but go ahead.
Yeah, I would. I want to say something on the eye contact thing. I think it is a very good thing to do to never let a woman catch you looking at her chest. I feel like that is the biggest mind fuck for a big-chested woman, is you look her dead in the eyes and make sure she never catches you looking at her in that way, because it makes her want to throw it at you. And the other thing is on the eye contact is that most of our sight's one of our most strong senses. There's a lot of nerve endings and things that go there because we're looking around predators, who to mate with, aesthetics, those things. Eye contact is incredible. And to be able to have the ability and the confidence to look somebody dead in the eyes works with women. And I'll tell you another thing. A lot of these things that we're talking about work with men as well. They work with clients. People want your undivided attention. They want to feel valuable in that way. that
Mhm.
makes them special to you. So a lot of these things could be used in the workplace on men as well.
Yeah.
To answer your question, I do think an introvert can be very, very good with women, because what do they teach you when you're trying to sell something to somebody? You want them talking about themselves. What do people love to talk about more than anything? Themselves.
Mhm.
So if an introvert only has to talk every 30, 40 seconds at most, and she talks and talks and talks and talks and talks, and he keeps eye contact and he's doing the nodding to keep her going, then all of a sudden it makes her feel very well. And then we're right back to watch how you make people feel.
Mm-hmm. Yes, and I know this is going to come up, so I'm gonna put you guys on. I'm gonna address this really quickly here. Okay, so when you're talking about like, don't look at her tits, right? Don't always keep that laser focus kind of thing. Okay, I agree with that, and it's probably like guys are going to go, well, what the hell are you talking about? You want to flirt with her, blah blah blah. Yeah, if you're familiar with her, and you go, and it's unignorable. She's got like double D's. Like, yeah, you got big tits.
Right.
Like, if sneaky clout, I'm gonna joke around with her and rib her and stuff like that. That's that part
We
of
can
that.
talk about her titties when she gets them out.
Exactly. If it's in your
Grow
face,
up.
that's it. Now, here's why I say that. Okay, I'm going to read to you from the 16 Commandments of Poon, which is from Royce, from old school Royce. Okay, this is number 10. This is commandment number 10, and commandment number 10 is ignore her beauty.
Yes.
The man who trains.
Hell yeah.
The man who trains his mind to subdue the reward centers of his brain when reflecting upon a beautiful female face will magically transform his interactions with women. His apprehension and self-consciousness will melt away, paving the path for a more honest and self-possessed interactions with the objects of his desire. This is one reason why the greatest Lotharios drown in more love than they can handle. Through the positive experiences with so many beautiful women, they lose their awe of female beauty and, in turn, their powerlessness under its spell. It will help you acquire the right frame of mind to stop using the words hot, cute, gorgeous, or beautiful to describe the girls who turn you on. Instead, say to yourself, she's interesting, or she might be worth getting to know. Never compliment a girl on her looks, especially not a girl you aren't fucking already.
I never do.
Turn off that part of your brain that wants to put them on a pedestal. That's what that is about. Further advanced training to reach the state of unawed Zen transcendence is to sleep with as many attractive women. Try to avoid sleeping with a lot of ugly women if you don't want to regress, and soon a Jedi lover you will be. Okay, so it's not about, oh, I can't look at her boobs. That's not about insecurity. It's about ignoring her beauty. It's about, and one of the things is like, I don't think a lot of guys realize this because they think that's just playing games. And if you're not an alpha guy who doesn't have access to a lot of women and a lot of opportunity for sex or whatever, if you probably will think that's a key, right? Oh, well, I don't have access to a lot of women, so I need to be straight and whatever. It's not about trying to play a game to ignore her tits or whatever else. It's the fact that you are telegraphing to her with your behaviors that you're the kind of guy who women's beauty does not affect. You understand that? I that's one of those nuances, I think, of game that a lot of guys don't really get. Like, ignore her beauty. Now, most guys, when they say ignore her beauty, they go, yeah, man, I'm a rock. She'll never affect me. No, just the fact that you're reacting that way means she already is. Most guys will go, you're so beautiful. I'll simp for you. Like that. You want to know why simping is such a big deal? That's why. Because beauty affects lesser men. Beauty does not affect guys who already have access to beautiful women because they're used to it. They're habituated to it. They already see it. Again, amused mastery. Look at my tits. No, I don't care about your tits. You look interesting. You look interesting. She might be worth getting to know. That kind of stuff. And people say, well, you're just playing manipulative games. Yeah, well, it's no more manipulative than her sticking her tits out, trying to get your attention so you will simp for her. You want to talk about shit tests? There's a shit test for
That's her weapon. And I could not agree with that more, man. I never tell women that they're super beautiful or anything like that. In fact, I'll tell them flat out, if they do something I like, I'll tell them the only way I'll ever call her pretty is I'll tell her pretty ain't a pass, and I'll tell her just like that. Pretty ain't a pass.
Mhm.
Let's go.
Yeah.
You know, because it's just you can completely disarm a woman by not calling her beauty out. And by the way, it goes back to that boxing thing. Every other man in her life is telling her how beautiful she is. So if you're that one man that's there, eye contact, testing her mentally, you're different now. So she chases and she wants to throw that physicality onto you, literally. I agree.
Yes. Yeah, I think that a lot of guys think that playing games is like manipulative and they're not being authentic. No, your authenticity comes out as what would necessarily be the behaviors that would indicate that you're an alpha, right? That's really what PUA was and is. And a game, PUA, the difference between like game and PUA is that the PUA are faking it to make it, right? And please do keep make it. I hope you do keep going, but the fact is what you're doing is you're aping behaviors that women respond to. And that was the whole premise of early PUA game, was trying to do and ape the behaviors of guys who, do an end run around the hypergamous filter, right? If it's a shit test, you know what to say. And so, yeah, does it become a game? Does it become a mask? Does it become an act? Yeah, unless you become that guy. Yeah. Unless game becomes second nature, unless you internalize understanding the red pill. You want to know the difference between a failed PUA and a guy who's on top of his game, who is, successful in life, successful in physics, physicality, and successful with women. That's the guy who it becomes authentic as a result of learning those behaviors and understanding women's nature as a result of that. That's not fake. That's you learning social skills that you didn't learn before, that probably somebody else learned ahead of you. In fact, you are a perfect example of this, Jay, because it's like those pictures that you were showing me before, right? You weren't always this way. This wasn't always you in a different life when you're 25. Well, how old are you now? 34?
35.
35. So 10 years ago, that's a 10-year difference right there. You were a different person at 25 than you are at 35. And a matter of fact, you are right smack dab where I say that most guys start to hit their stride when it comes to their sexual market value years. 35, 36, 37 years old, right in there. You're hitting your stride and you're single and you have sexual selectivity. You are a dangerous motherfucker, man. Because you have at this point, and I keep telling you guys, here's proof of concept right here, okay? You have more that makes you attractive at this time in your life than at any other point in your life. You might have been you could have been better looking at 25. You just didn't, because your memes, your mentality was different than what it is right now. You will not go back to that because you've made progress in that past decade to be who you're at right now, which is what you have accumulated all of the things, like the priority list, the laundry list of things, of prerequisites that women have for the most attractive guys, right? It's not just you got looks, you got money, you got attitude, you got frame, you understand your nature, you understand women's nature. And the worst thing to women, but the best thing to women, is the fact that you understand your own value to women. And that's what scares them, because they want to be a part of that. They want to be associated with that. And that was my last question for you, is are you running into girls who want to try to lock you down now? Are you running into playing games because they want to say, I thought you loved me, where's the ring?
Yeah, everyone. But they're negotiating on my terms, man.
Mm-hmm.
On my terms. I'll bring other girls. I'll get you girls. Okay, fine. Just love me. Yeah, absolutely, man. They're fighting for position with me.
Mm-hmm.
I'm never getting married. They know. Okay, well, that's fine. I heard you and Sterling talking about it. Okay. But you still, it all goes back to, I'm still opening doors. I'm being respectful. I'm authentically being myself and very consistent. And they can either take the deal or not take the deal. And I have them, sometimes they'll be like, they'll come to me and they'll cry and they'll say, Justin, I know I would tell you this, but I know that you would just replace me. And they're right. I absolutely would replace them. And I wouldn't be mean to them about it. It's like, okay, sweetheart, I get it. I'm going to do what I said I'm going to do. And there you are again, attention, and then cut attention, and then, give them a week. And I'll say it here because I know a lot of these girls will watch this video. I do not care. I do not care because I'm not saying anything to you that I would not and have not said to them.
Mhm.
I get to authentic. And I think that is the highest level of freedom, if I'm being completely honest.
Mhm.
Is I say what I'm going to do and I do it, and I'm not hiding anything. And it's only been in the last probably few years that I've been able to do that, where I'll be like, listen, this is how it is. You can leave, but I'll never be a liar, because I don't want to skirt around.
Mhm.
I don't want to tell you lies. I don't want to be that person, because I'm not scared of you. Tristan Tate says something really funny to me all the time. He goes, they got no hands, Jay. Basically, they're not going to kick your ass.
Right.
Why not just tell them the truth? And if you're not the guy for them, that's fine. But I got to tell you, most of the time you are the guy for them. They're like, okay, well, I would rather have this guy that tells me the truth, because it's what I tell girls. Are you going to leave me, a man you love? And because they do fall in love with you, a man you love that treats you well, are you going to leave me for a man that you love less? And to be quite honest with you, he's going to cheat on you anyway, just with an uglier girl, and then he's going to lie to you like a coward? Or are you going to stay with me, a man you love that treats you right, tells you the truth? It's up to you, sweetheart. I'm not going to be mean to you. I understand if you want to leave. You can tell your sister and your girlfriends that I said it. It's okay. But don't compare me to your sister and your girlfriend's guys, okay? Because they're driving Honda Accords and there's a tax on a red Ferrari.
Mhm.
So I just tell them the truth, man. And they can love me for who I am. A lot of them deeply respect that truth.
Mhm.
Because they know if given the opportunity, their friends' girlfriends or the guys that they used to date would cheat on them in a second and then lie about it like a coward.
Mhm.
Loyalty is not sleeping with another woman because you can't. That's not loyalty. A lot of these guys can't do it. Okay? So he's not fucking loyal.
Yeah.
I'm loyal. I tell the truth. I'll take care of you. If some dude smacks your ass, he's probably getting a cross. Straight up. Like, I'll bleed for you. But at the same time, don't let your friends tell you that their husbands are loyal when they would cheat on her in a second if they could.
Mhm.
I'm telling you the truth. And that congruency allows me to get away with things that a lot of men think aren't even possible.
Yeah. I was gonna say is like, and this is again, this comes back to like plate theory. Is a lot of guys think that like, oh, I could never spin plates. I could never have more than like one girl at a time because, well, first of all, their belief set is that they're stuck on monogamy. First of all, they're stuck on the idea. I mean monogamy not in like the technical sense, but I mean in sort of like the belief, like the meme sense. Like this is what I'm a one woman kind of guy. No, because you've never had more than one woman at any particular time. I know because
it's possible.
I say this all the time is like I used to be that blue pill beta chump, like back when I was like 18, all the way up until I was about 21 years old, and suddenly the LA Hollywood metal scene opened up to me, and now suddenly I wasn't all about monogamy anymore, right? Because I realized that I could actually experience that. I actually had options that I could go out and do it if I just got out there and I put myself out there, and I did. And so I went from sort of having this idea of being, monogamous and everything, and then going to like having a lot of girlfriends, right? And here's my theory was that I was going to be I wanted to explore my options, right? Because up until that point, I never had really many options to explore in the first place. But once I got to that point, once I realized I could reliably spin plates, like of course we didn't even call it spinning plates. It was just, this is what we're going to, we're dating on exclusively, or I'm just going to hook up. It was hookup culture for like the late 80s and early 90s. Right. And so once I'd experienced that was, that's what I wanted to be into, and that's what I wanted to do. And that's exactly what I did. But I was still very blue pill in that all I was waiting for was the most really fucked up in the head, most beautiful chick that I've ever been with, and I didn't want to fuck that up. So my mentality was still stuck rooted in the blue pill, even though I was spinning plates. And I think a lot of guys kind of missed the boat on that as well. Right now, they see game as a means to an end rather than they are the end. And I think that's probably where you're at right now. So what I would do is this: like most of the women that I was seeing at that time when I was in my 20s was I never implied monogamy in the first place. Like those girls, they knew I was seeing other girls. They knew I was in the band. They knew I had other girlfriends. They and if they didn't, they imagined that I did well enough to know, okay, this is what this guy is about. I'm having a good time with this guy right now. And so there was never like the talk, right? Like, oh, where is this going? You know, are we going to be official? It's like, no, that never manifested in any of these girls whatsoever. But I think that that is kind of like an alien thought to most guys, because they are the 80%ers. They're the guys who, like, if like I was part of that 80% until I kind of moved myself out, and I couldn't believe my luck, right? I couldn't believe, oh man, I can actually do this, right? And so
telling a poor ginger kid from Louisiana, I get it.
Exactly, I know. And then you, and that's, I think that transitioning and understanding like how to like unlearn the things you've learned about yourself, and then relearn the things that actually work. Okay. So I got to put this on there. Hey, they think you sound like a simp. And I'm like, well, the proof is in the pudding, man. I mean, what, I can't help you if that's what you think. Right.
What'd you think of that 18-year-old that came to lunch the other day?
I thought she was pretty hot. That's another thing is I hate it when people say, hey, what do you think about like Sterling? What do you think about the Tate? What do you think about Jay? They'll ask me this right afterwards. Is he the real deal? And it's like, I can't like go and say, well, yeah, because I've seen the chicks that he's been with, and I know that he's actually the real deal. Like, I'm not going to go and, because it sounds like I'm glossing you, or it sounds like I'm glossing whatever, but he's the real deal. Right? Sterling is the real deal. I've seen the women that Sterling's with, right? I've seen the like when I go, like I know Rich, I know Ryan, I know John, I know all the chicks that these guys have been with. I know who they're capable of attracting, whether they're like, you know, monogamous or they're non-monogamous. I know what they're about, but I don't go, oh yeah, man, let me tell you all about it. Because it just sounds like I'm posturing at that point. What did you say here? You like the 48 Laws of Power by Robert Greene? Yes, I do. What do you think about The Art of Seduction by Robert Greene? His work is usually very good. I thought that The Art of Seduction was very good. I think people misinterpret The Art of Seduction because it is not just about picking up girls. Seduction goes way, like seduction science, or the understanding of seduction goes way beyond just like seducing women, although that's what most people associate it with. Politicians seduce people all the time. It has nothing to do with fucking, you know, it has to get votes or whatever else. Used car salesman, same thing. Seduction. They're using those same techniques. They're just using it in a different context. So I like the book, but I think that you need to sort of take it with a grain of salt. Also, it is Robert Greene we're talking about, so it's not like he's a pickup artist. I like his work, and I think he's very thorough, and he's a consummate statistician, but is he a master seducer? Probably not. He also wrote 33 Strategies of War. Does that make him a general? No. He's not commanding any armies, but he knows his stuff. So
good books.
Yeah, I think they're fantastic books. And honestly, I think that Myron needs to read 48 Laws of Power. Myron, if you're watching. And I also think that Myron and or Fresh needs to read 33 Strategies of War, because that's where you guys are at right now.
One thing I told Myron the other day is, I was like, you know, you can tell the size of a man by the size of his problems, and that's a big problem. So,
oh man,
you know,
yeah,
that's a hardworking dude. And
that's I was going to talk about that. I'll probably talk about that on tomorrow's show or on Friday. I don't know if I'm going to do it Friday or not, but a lot of people want me to come down on Myron a little bit harder than I did, and I thought I did pretty well last Wednesday, like a week ago. This Wednesday, I did. But I will say this, is that I think Myron is suffering from dream girls and children with dynamite. And that was straight out of my first book. And I think that it's one thing, like the reason why I called it Children with Dynamite is because I was quoting a guy, Ross Jeffries, at the time. He used to say back in the day, in the early PUA stuff, he says this game, like teaching guys who aren't authentic, who aren't really like alphas, teaching them the game is like giving children dynamite. It's like they're going to use it. It's fun. And hey, I got the keys to the castle. I got the keys to the Lamborghini, but that doesn't mean that kid knows how to drive the Lamborghini. That doesn't mean that he knows what to do once he's got the keys to the castle. And a lot of times guys will blow themselves up. I think what Myron did with Anna Quinn was stupid, absolutely stupid, but it is what it is. And was she a nut job? Yes. Should he have seen that? Yes, absolutely yes. And the thing is, he didn't need to do that in the first place. And that's children with dynamite. Dream girls and children with dynamite. You don't have to do that. You're Myron Gaines. You're fresh. You're Rollo Tomassi. You're Jay Waller. You are who you are. You're a high. You already know this. You already know that you're a high value guy. Why would you make rookie mistakes like that? Why would that even enter into your thought process? That would be where I would criticize both of those guys. But again,
I don't know the game.
They have the
I'm so new. I will say this, that those guys are absolutely incredible in person.
Yes.
And bunch of people in this world wish they had the problems that those two guys had.
Exactly.
That's a direct reflection of the work that they've put in.
Mm-hmm. It's good to have good enemies too, by the way. Enemies will make you strut out, straight out 48 laws of power, right? You are only as good as the enemies that challenge you. And he's got really high caliber enemies. I'll give him that. I wish I had better enemies, right? But
it's currency, man.
Mm-hmm, it is
it's currency. So yeah, for sure.
Yeah, you're only as good as the enemies that you have that challenge you. I believe I'm quoting Robert Greene out of that one. So there you go. Anyways, hey, this has been a good talk, man. Where can people find you? I have already put the description, your link, your URL is already in my description right now, but like, what are you doing? What do you have planned? Like, are you going to do counseling, or what's the kind of thing what do you want to do, I guess?
Yeah, man, I definitely want to contribute. I think that I will eventually transition out of the hard brick and mortar business into this space fully. I've moved to Miami to do so. I'll be teaching business. One thing that Sterling and I talk about a lot is there's a lot of guys telling guys to make more money, talking about you should make more money, talking about you should get in shape. I'm going to start taking on, how to do these things, mindset, management, business systems, how to start a business, how to set it up correctly, how not to screw yourself over and make mistakes. I'm going to do that in general business. I'm going to do it in construction, trade construction to be specific. So plumbers, electricians, IRX steel, all those different things. How do you go from being the technician to being the manager and the entrepreneur, kind of like the E-Myth in time in construction, but also in the same sense, doing that in general business. A lot of things we talked about today, we could talk about again and say the same things again and say, take the girl out of the equation and put client or somebody you're trying to sell something to in the same spot, because it's human. It's human. Game is human. You think you can't run game on a man? I've run plenty of game on men, and it's made me millions of dollars. So I'm telling you, there are things to talk about there. And then I do want to cover fitness as well. It'll probably come after the business stuff, just because I think the market is saturated. I think there's a much easier way to go about it. But I do think it's a core pillar of anything a young man should do is take care of his fitness first. It makes business and women substantially easier. It really does. So I'll be doing the three of those things. It'll be business, construction, trade construction directly, and then I'll circle back to fitness. And then from there, it'll come out in probably quite a few different forms.
Cool. I like that. By the way, the idea that game is multi-purpose is also something I think that is particularly now, because I think that the manosphere is kind of like mired in this. Oh, it's about holding women accountable, right? Or it's about that they have a very narrow definition, certainly what game is, and definitely what like the red pill is or manosphere is, or whatever we're calling it right now. But yes, you can use game on under a game. Really boils down to social skills, and it also boils down to an understanding, a basic empirical praxeological understanding of the nature of men and women. As you said, it's a human thing, right? So I joke. I haven't said I've used game to get out of speeding tickets before.
Oh, absolutely, man. With a man.
Yeah, I've used game in my line of work for a very long time. That's one of the reasons. Well, I would say it's one of my core competencies actually is having worked in the liquor industry for as long as I have, and the gaming industry for as long as I have. I have to work with the egos of a lot of rich men and a lot of very beautiful women who are very full of themselves, and applying game like techniques, game understanding, whatever you want to call it. I even using the game, I'm just going back to old school abstract terms, but using that understanding of human nature, I guess, it's multi-purpose, man. It's not just you. Yeah, you can use it to get laid, and I hope you do, but it's also usable in lots of in your relationships with your female boss, right? Or your mom or your niece or whoever.
Your team.
Yeah, whoever you have to, your team. Yes, exactly.
My management team's all women.
Oh, really?
All of them.
Yep.
They would kill for me. And I tell you one thing, I never do. And I say, may God strike me dead. I do not sleep with women that I sign checks for. I'm a very lucky man. That cuts off in my brain immediately. Mm-hmm. And so I look them in the eye, I give them my attention, and I do the same thing with the guys in the field. You know, the 90 guys in the field, those are all men except one. We have one girl in the field. But, you know, it is absolutely the same thing. If I take a general superintendent out and he's a 50-something-year-old man, you know, I try not to outshine the master in the technician role. Because if you do that, you're attacking and belittling the thing that he's been doing for 40 years. Well, he's been doing it longer than I'm alive. So why am I not going to try to highlight that fact?
Refer to his knowledge and authority.
And then get him behind me. You know, all of these things that they call game can absolutely be used in business. It's called building rapport and trust and setting boundaries and expectations. You know, when you really start loving yourself, women stop giving you shit. But guess who else stops giving you shit? Bad employees, bad customers, and bad coworkers immediately. It's not all just women. A lot of these things go in both of those lanes. Absolutely. It's called becoming like a well-rounded man. Yeah.
Game is multi-purpose. And I think that, again, having a good understanding of that, like if I'm at a liquor promo or something like that, it's not just the women that I'm dealing with who are like my poor girls or something. It's also my support staff too. Like one of the first guys, man, they came down on me for actually admitting this at one point. But I said, look, if you see like some drunk ass chick that's on the street or something like that, and she's trying, you know, don't be a freaking savior. I tell my guys this every like New Year's Eve, because there's always some drunk chick that they want to be Captain Save-A-Ho with that girl. And I say, don't do that, because she won't remember what happened the night before, and God forbid you guys get an SA charge and some kind of fault. Like she can't remember and she thinks something happened and it didn't. Don't do that. Call her a cab if you want, call her an Uber if you want, whatever, but don't do it, because you put yourself at risk when you're doing that. I've had enough guys fall into that as a result of trying to do the right thing and be Mr. Nice Guy and suck up to that and like think that they're going to save that girl. You are not. She made those decisions. Let her live with those decisions. And it's just what you have to do to protect yourself. And that's part of game, right? It's like, that's me imparting like a red pill awareness to guys who probably never heard of it. And they can't believe that I'm saying this, right? Like, oh, well, you want to be a nice guy and help her out. No, not today. Not anymore.
One thing I would say to them on that subject, because you're dead on, they shouldn't be Captain Save-A-Ho because they're angry at the woman. They should be Captain Save-A-Ho because it doesn't fucking work.
Yes, it's not.
Don't be mad at the woman because you tried to be a white knight. Understand, I'm not going to be mad at her. I'm not doing it because it doesn't fucking work. So if the girl's drunk, you'd be like, it's not fuck her. You know, I hate these hoes, dumb bitch. No, it's not that. Call her an Uber, fine. But do it for the right reason. You know, do it or not do it because it either works or it does not work. And I think that's where guys get too emotional about game or picking up women. You need to study women so you understand women, so you make the decision based off the fact that it either works or it doesn't, not because you're angry or mad about it. They're wired the same, all of them. 10s down to 2s, they're the same.
All right, man. I'm going to let you go. This has been a very productive, finally, now that we got the sound all taken care of, but this has been a very good show, I think, in the end. So you can find Jay at his channel right now and check out what he's doing. Again, at the descriptions, or the link is in the description. I'm sure Tom will end up making some clips of this video at some point. So look for it on my clips channel as well. I will be, I'm doing another show. I'm going to do like a quick 40-minute show, like a pre-recorded show. It won't be a live stream, either tomorrow or Friday. Because I've got some things I kind of want to address. I had some topics I wanted to sort of hit, Saturday, Rule Zero, I believe it is Troy who is hosting. So look for Rule Zero at 11:30 a.m. Eastern Time on Troy Francis's show. Other than that, I will see you guys on Sunday. Again, if you are interested in the group sessions on Patreon, please go to my Patreon. You can find the link in the description here as well. If you want to support me, support the page, support Jay, support Sterling, support everybody who's part of the extended Rule Zero family. And I consider Jay part of the extended Rule Zero family now. You're on Rule Zero actually with us on Saturday, and that was good. You both of you guys were. So I might be bringing you in for some conversations depending on what the topic is. Yeah. So I expect to see Jay on Rule Zero occasionally, and he's I would say he's part of the extended family at this point too. So there you go. I'm glad you guys have enjoyed this. Hopefully this is giving you some food for thought. We talked a lot about game. Like we talked a lot about understanding, really the social interactions and everything with women. And that's really what I've been getting into in my 5th book. So this has been really productive, I think. So thanks for coming. And I will see you guys. The next time will probably be either Friday or Sunday. So peace. Thanks.